being the highest rated wrap shop in Northern California.
What's your favorite part of the business?
What's up, everyone? This is Shareef here at SS Customs. I am with
AJ.
AJ,
Newest member
of our team. As you know, I'm the oldest member here at SS Customs, aka founder. AJ is our newest member, and for our first ever SS Customs All Wrapped Up podcast, we wanted to give you guys an insight from a little bit of our origin story, where we started, and who better to carry that conversation is our newest member on our team, AJ, who's going to have a completely different perspective, understanding, probably doesn't know a lot of stuff of the origins and how we got started. So it'll be a great start off. As we move forward on these podcasts, we're going to be covering essentially 4 main topics and subjects every time we get together. So this will be a weekly thing when it starts dropping. We're going to be covering our team. We're going to be covering different clients across the spectrum of all the different people we get to work with, which are some amazing people, and you'll be hearing from them personally. You'll also be talking to or listening to from different industry people that are in the industry of different segments of the automotive customization nature. And you also have, last but not least, lifestyle. So everything that's in the automotive and even some of the exterior ancillary parts of the automotive lifestyle, art, things like that. So you'll be able to get to meet some really cool, influential people in that space as well. So without any further ado, we're going to jump into our All Wrapped Up podcast. And I'm sure you got a lot of stuff you want to talk about.
The West Coast Original, right?
West Coast Original. So we'll get into it.
So you said West Coast Original, man. When'd you start? When was the very beginning of the business?
SS Customs originally started in 2005 as a sub brand of my parents' sign company. So my father immigrated along with my mother immigrated here in 1983, and 84 they started their own sign manufacturing company. And at that time, everything was hand painted and whatever have you, as he was on the Pacific Islands. So he's from Fiji Islands, so was my mom. So when he came here, his background was all sign making, but a lot of it was done manual labor by hand. As I grew up in the family business, literally from a baby growing up, I saw the whole industry start going through technological advancements, changes. The first plotter, the first design programs. I mean, it was floppy disks to this, everything else, right? Yeah. So I was probably put into the business right around 12 years old. I went to a company called Comp USA, and which my parents kind of forced me into working at the business, but taught me everything that I learned from 12 years old onwards, and being fully, as much as I could be integrated into the business, a lot of times behind the desk, and then learning how to run little machines, stuff like that. So from the advent of the first plotter to the first printer that we had, which was a Gerber Edge, all the way up to whatever's in modern technology today in 2022, 2023 and beyond, it's changed quite a bit. So 2005, at that time, there was already wide format digital printers, which we've been using for about a decade or so at that time. And there was, or more, and started off smaller and then it got bigger. And people were doing commercial graphics, a lot of wrapping buses and things like that. So in 2005, I was like, man, we've done a couple custom wraps already, like for fun designs, that were like, some were commercially based, some of them were more custom, like full colors with a little bit of ads in it. And I was like, I got to start pushing. I have an idea to push more of this custom design using this technology to replace painting. So I put one of my artists that worked at my parents' shop to work. I gave him a sketched out a design, and he drew out a whole design of a fighter, like a war-torn fighter plane. Yeah. And we designed the whole thing. I think actually the first one he did was on my Firebird, but the first one that I can vividly remember was that one. And that one was a full design fighter plane. We digitally wrapped it, and I started going to car shows. So the birth of SS Customs was in 05 as a full-fledged, like, I want to do this for custom world, not commercial app. I want to get out of here and start doing it in that realm.
So did this start similar to a lot of technology companies? Like, is this kind of like the OG story of like started in the garage and then kind of blew up? Or did you already, since you came from the printing background, did you already have like a shop to work in and you were able to utilize the resources that you already had? Or?
Yeah, I mean, I utilized as much as we could at that time, right? Whatever
Yeah.
had access to.
Yeah.
We had printed on Generation 1 Control Tack, which was like the first 3M films that were out there.
Yeah.
And it was like orange peely, you could see crosshatch patterns everywhere, laminate was okay. But the overall concept of hand drawing something, digitizing it,
Yeah.
and then turning it into that, making a paper template of each panel of the car, and then using those paper templates against the wall, and then digitizing that,
Yeah.
transcribing your art there, and then making it come to life, and then going to a car show where everybody thinks you airbrush this for like hundreds and hundreds of hours.
Yeah.
But they're like, why does your clear coat look all orange peely?
Yeah.
It was like the first time where I started to get an understanding of like there is a huge industry that could be,
Yeah.
and a handful of people around the world were doing the same thing. And when I tried to search for people who were marketing like that, like, okay, who's out there marketing custom wraps? Who's out there doing this or doing that? I could find a handful of people around the world, a lot of people on the East Coast, but nobody really centered anywhere around the West Coast,
Yeah.
really pushing forward for that industry to make it. So I went to SEMA the following year, 2006. We went to SEMA. I wrapped I had a car club at the time, and we wrapped one of my car club members. It was a Infiniti G35, and Squire's turbo systems, the remote mount turbo systems, was out back then, and we did a full design on an STS for STS Turbo Company. We had the G35 parked out front of SEMA on like ramps to show off the turbo, remote mount turbo system, but it was all wrapped in a custom design. And I was walking around SEMA everywhere trying to find like, oh shit, like, this is dope. We got this wrapped car out here. And it was my first major experience at SEMA. And I walked around SEMA, I couldn't find any wrapped cars. So I'm like, I walked up to the 3M booth, and 3M is, I'm trying to explain to them, we should start doing wrapped cars, blah, blah, blah. And I realized after talking for a little bit that nobody knew what the hell I was talking about, because it's a multi-billion-dollar corporation, and their focus at that time in that year was like paint stuff.
Yeah.
So like paint tapes and this and primers and whatever else they had.
Huh.
And then I went to, I tried to find the Avery booth, they weren't there. So I realized I was really early on, and maybe I'm just way too early and there's no idea here.
Yeah.
But I mean, suffice to say, that was a while ago now. You go to SEMA and there's wrapped cars everywhere. So I think it was just me pressing in, and I started making calls to Avery and 3M and all these other brands at that time.
Yeah.
And then once they figured out, okay, I got a hold of Doug Blackwell, who was one of the main guys at 3M at that time. It still is, I think, today. And he was entertaining the idea of like saying, all right, we're going to make digitally printed films. I mean, we're thinking about making solid color films for the industry. We don't know yet. And then a few years later, I think it was maybe a couple years after that, they released 5 colors. But I was pestering Avery, which was only 2 major players at the time, about manufacturing full colors. And instead of taking their white films, which we have here in our digital printers, and printing colors, I wanted them out of the box.
Got it. I was curious as to how you got that, since they didn't even make it. So you printed colors onto a white film that they had and then applied those.
Yep. And then at that time, and then to go back to SS Customs, it was SS actually stands for my parents' sign company, which is Sam's Signs, my dad's name. My mom and dad run the company. And it was called Sam's Signs Customs at that time. In 2005, I wanted to like do something custom.
Yeah.
But I was like, all right, cool, we'll do it under the umbrella of this company, and we'll just call it Sam's Signs Customs.
Yeah.
2011, I had an opportunity to come from the East Bay to the peninsula of Silicon Valley, which is about 30-minute drive, right? But it crosses the bridge, you're on the other side of the bridge, and now you're in Silicon Valley. Yeah. And it was, at that time, a good friend of mine, Nicholas Jimenez, and he was like, yo, I got a car collection warehouse. You want to rent a portion of it, like a bay, and you can come out here and wrap here. And most of my clients were in Silicon Valley, because I was advertising to that whole section of people at that time.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I'll do it. And obviously my parents didn't want nothing to do with it. It was just shy of post-recession. They were like, you do your thing. If you think this has legs, you go do your thing. So I had to take the kind of like, holy shit, I got to go do this on my own. And I just kind of started again, but I didn't ditch the name.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, I learned the trade was through here.
Yeah.
I just abbreviated it. And a lot of my clients who knew Sam Size Customs, they just saw SS Customs, and a lot of new clients saw a more abbreviated, kind of like auto-inspired name, which I'm sure that you thought something in the automotive realm at that time.
Exactly the case. So for y'all that don't know, I met Shareef well before I started actually working here. Met him through the car industry. Got a lot of friends they actually host car meets, car shows, and I came in cool with some people who are into the hypercar, supercar mix. Then I met him. Well, me and him immediately clicked because I come from the Midwest, so I'm loving all the V8 roaring, loud muscle cars, things like that. And here me and him we're around a bunch of supercars, and we're like, hey, but you see that Chevelle over there, or that GNX, or that's just kicking it. So this whole time I thought SS was for like the super sport or something like that, something to pay homage to the muscle versions of cars that we all both like. So really interesting and really awesome to hear that it comes from the family side of it. Sam Size Customs, I
grew up super humble because my parents, obviously they immigrated here.
Yes.
So when they started from scratch. I grew up around that. They obviously did, 20, 30 years down the line, they did pretty good for themselves. But through that whole process of watching them closely as I was growing as the first child, seeing them all grow up, it was really cool to see the whole industry they're working in and growing up. Obviously, I hated working in it because I was forced into it, but I found what spoke to me inside of it, and I loved cars. So the only thing I could find to make use of what I knew was like racing stripes or graphics or decals or stickers and then once wraps started coming to be, I'm like, oh, cool, I could change the entire exterior of a car, which a custom paint shop does, and way crazy shapes and designs, but doing it from a graphics perspective, a custom graphics perspective. And that was the birth of the idea behind SS Customs and how it started.
With you being what seems to be new in the industry and so ahead of your time at this time, you said there was only a handful of other companies out there. Was everything just trial and error, or did you have another company that you could kind of look up to and learn to see like, okay, this is how they're doing it, I can kind of model what I'm doing off of that, or everything was just like brand new?
At that time, there was no training, there was no wrap training courses or classes, there was nothing. During the early years, I would fly out to places, do it. You got to understand, this is like white vinyl that you print stuff on. And then the first color renditions were years down the line where you got, like 5 colors from Avery or 3M. And now you got like a small color palette book that you're stoked F about and put it on. The first company that I can remember that released color change vinyl was a German company called Oracle. And they made the first color book that I've ever saw. So we wrapped cars in that colors in the beginning. And I remember wrapping a bunch of cars we were the first vinyl wrap sponsor for a road rally called Gold Rush Rally, which I attended last year and the year before, but I first started attending it in 2009, 10, when I joined the Luxury for Play forum. Forums were big back then. And then a spin-off of that forum was this road rally. All these friends are going to go out and do a road rally. So you got like 60 to 120 crazy exotic cars driving throughout the United States, right? And at that time, I had a Noble M400 that I bought in 2009, and that kind of pushed me into that crowd or community. So I took a big risk. I put everything that I had to buy a house, which I couldn't buy a house because of the economic recession, and I didn't qualify for what I was looking for. It's a whole nother story. Anyways, I was like, kind of threw my middle fingers up and I said, I'm gonna go buy my dream car at the time. So I bought this British supercar called Noble, and I had no clue that car was going to introduce me in the industry that I was already kind of pursuing to a whole new direction of car enthusiasts. Because I grew up muscle cars and everything that I grew up around.
Exactly.
And then that kind of pushed me to a whole nother industry of people, and they were all situated in Silicon Valley. On the other side of the bridge. So when I got called to the other side of the bridge, which were most of my customers were there, I was going to there for all the car meets and doing all this other stuff, going to Gold Rush Rally, so on and so forth, being the first official wrap sponsor for that rally. I was like, it just made sense. Everything clicked. That was 2010, 2009, 10 when I was doing the road rally stuff.
For sure.
But I don't know, did I answer your question?
Yeah,
all right, cool.
That and more. So you've kind of spoke to the state of the industry there, where basically how there wasn't one. So what's the comparison between then and now? Like, what's the state
Oh
of
man,
the
this industry is nuts right now. It's exploding. It's growing up. There's so many people that are out there. In the beginning, when it was just a handful of colors and a small pepper, it was just me, my lady, Mickey, who was basically, we started the company, and she was my first installer. So we were installing. Then my cousin.
Oh, so she was back there rapping cars.
She still will help rap if I really needed her to. But I mean, she was one of the first female rappers that I knew that was rapping cars at that time. Obviously, the industry was brand new. This was before 2010, right? She's well before 2010. She was helping me rap cars.
Yeah.
People used to bring me bumpers and stuff back then to rap because they couldn't rap. They were just getting into rapping. Like in the whole San Francisco Bay Area, Northern California, massive segment of California, you've got people driving to me to rap cars. I think Robbie even remembers having people come in and just dropping off bumpers. Like, I can rap the flat parts, but I can't rap this. And then I'd have to rap it. And these were other rap shops that were popping up. Obviously, there was only a handful of them in the entire Northern California, but they would come to me to do complex parts. Yeah. And being that, we were doing it the longest. To now, where the industry is just, there's so many people opening up shops, there's so many rap shops, so many rappers, so many artists. There's people all across the world. I've made friends with people everywhere, whether it's Japan, Denmark, New Zealand, Australia, Germany, all parts of the United States, Florida, Miami, it doesn't matter. I know people, some of the best people in the industry all across the globe. And that is something that I'm super humbled by, because I was so early on in the game that I've made a lot of good relationships and contacts with people all across the board. Yeah. And now the industry, I think, we're still at the beginning phase, because you think about the painting industry, how old is that? Like car painting, right? Since the first car came out, which was when?
20s, I believe.
I think pre-that.
Pre-20?
Yeah, but you got like Model Ts. There was obviously stuff before then, but they were painting them back then, right?
Oh, fair.
To now,
I
mean, they were painting cars. They still paint cars today, but the technology we've definitely disrupted that whole custom paint world.
Yeah.
And changing it up. And I would presume that automotive manufacturers all know that we've been disrupting the industry to the tune that they might want to get involved in the near future. I don't know how it's going to affect us, but when that happens, that's some heavyweight moving now.
Well, see, and that leads into my next question. So, like, where do you see the rap industry going in the future? You think it's going to have a very heavy mend with the auto industry, and what other places do you see the rap industry?
That's a good question, man. I think the automotive industry I think technology has a lot to play with a lot of things. It grows exponentially, and I've noticed it probably in our lifetimes. We've probably noticed technology on the craziest curve ever in human history. Yeah. So everything has been affected by it. Yeah. Every sector of business, including ours. We've disrupted the paint industry with ours, and it's rapidly gotten better and better to the point now you got brands like Innositech, or KPMF, or and even some of the newer stuff that's coming out of Avery and 3M that's so shiny, so glossy that it looks like paint. Especially with metallics and different types of things. And there's certain things that paint just can't do easily, like chromes or crazy iridescence or multi-layered laminated films. So we're disrupting the game so much there. And that just happened in a matter of 15 years from concept or conception to where it's at today. Yeah. Right? A little over that maybe, but pushing 20 now. But the fact that that's happened in such a quick length of time makes me wonder, not worry, but wonder and anticipate what's the next big thing in the color change industry.
What would you want it to be?
Paint was color change, now it's vinyl's color change. They're doing paint protection films now, and they're making them color change, which is a thicker product, better, longer lasting, smoother finish, but they're making them in colors. And I don't know what that's going to present for the future. So the future might be, who knows, man, some crazy type of film, some sprayable technology, something else, but I don't know where it's really headed. I've seen BMW release the ones where they put I don't want to say wrap the panel, but they put all these pieces or panels on the car, and then you could change the color with a
white
dial.
To black.
White to black. Yeah. So it's like electronic ink, like you do with the license plates that we sell. But you're looking at something where maybe it goes in that realm and beyond. So I really don't know
What do you
How
want to
crazy.
see? Like all possibilities out there would be something that you think would be really cool to kind of see in the game.
I think it'd be really cool if there was some way to set up a film that is made up of some type of electronic ink or something like that, that's a layer in the film that has some stretchability to it, whether it's the parts that connect whatever that type of filament is, whatever it is that changes color.
Yeah.
So that way you can install a car and then have some connecting points where you can do it, but wrap it really clean, not like how that BMW has it, and be able to charge it and then change it on a dial.
That'd be
Right,
tough.
make it like gray, black, full black, light, something like that. And then who knows where that technology grows.
Yeah.
Right? They have embedded technology where you can put underneath paint now. Probably figure out a way to put it in wrap where you can light up certain portions of it. So that way, if you have like a crazy graphic and you want to light up the eyes, you can light that up. There's a lot of things we're experimenting with, but I really don't know where it's going to go. I'm excited for the future. I'm also with AI technology, because we're in Silicon Valley, we see everything. We see, AI, we see autonomous vehicles. We work with a lot of companies that do all that stuff. So how that's going to affect us both positively and negatively are things that I think about.
Well, I think that there's a lot of stuff that was ahead of its time, like thermochromic paint or something like that, basically where you could throw boiling water onto the car and it shows whatever's underneath there. Like you'd have a graphic on it and then it would disappear once it cooled back off. Like that was a very, like it just dropped, everybody's like, oh, like a whole bunch of videos of it, and then it just went nowhere, and like nobody ever does anything with it. So I feel like there's a lot of stuff, even in history, in this industry, that people could play with and kind of make some really cool things out of if they just further the R&D on it and kind of figure out what they can do. Because the heat factor, the fact that people are paying with heat, how you said self-healing on some of these materials just due to thermal properties is insane. So there's definitely a lot of possibility, a lot of potential there.
Bro, there was a guy, what was it? What was that gentleman's name, our good friend with the GTR? He had it was like Anil Saini. But he had this really dope Nissan GTR that was featured on Worldstar and everywhere, right?
Yeah.
And basically he made it look like he would say, Siri, turn the car or something like that, and it would change the color of the car. But it was all reflective. So what he did was the car at nighttime when the lights hit it, it turns like this, almost like Mario star energy kind of thing, where it looked like that, but it was all reflective. So you saw it come to life when it was at nighttime and the lights hit it, and it's just like, whoa, what the hell is going on? So they have reflective wraps, they have glow in the dark wraps, they have all kinds of stuff. Yeah. And I've only been able to play with a small amount of them, but as time goes on, we'll be with customers that are a little bit more, have like the proclivity to do like more fun stuff, we'll be able to do some cool stuff down the line.
No, it'll definitely be awesome to play with those and see, because I know a large part of, not a large part, a pillar of your business is the design side of it, and your designer that you have on the projects that you're currently working on are just amazing. So I can't wait to see like a lot of the future stuff that comes in, especially all these little comic book stuff, man. I'm telling you, nerding out over all this, man. Wakanda, Dragon Ball Z, like all this stuff, anime. Like I'm nerding out when I'm seeing these come in, so it's awesome.
Yeah, we got like a Dragon Ball Z SRT Jeep, if I'm not mistaken, coming down the line. Street Fighter. Shoot, even better.
You got Majin Vegeta on the Model 3.
Vegeta on the Model 3. Then we got
Shuri? Yeah, I can't ever.
I don't know, but she's from Shuri.
Thank you, Jesus.
From Black Panther.
Yes, sir.
And that's going to be somewhat of the subtle design motifs on this Tesla that we're working on.
Have you heard more about the Dragon Ball Z one?
Nah.
So they're going to be using different materials to make different parts pop. So they're going to use gold, chrome material on certain parts of the design to make those pop. So it's like satin white. You got Majin Vegeta, and then on certain parts of it, they're going to use like gold chrome to like make that pop out. So it's going to be extremely three-dimensional.
Yeah, I can't wait to do like multi-dimensional stuff like that.
It's going to be awesome.
Chrome and like some reflective, and you put layers and stuff. We won't give too much away though. But we're getting to do more and more cool projects because of who you said, Ali. She's our lead designer here,
Pinned
and
off.
she helps a lot of sketches, a lot of ideas that come in my mind, clients' minds, everybody's come to life.
Yeah.
And she's really good with her artistic skills. Then we have a new guy on the block, Michael DeLuca, who also has some skill sets with us, helping with those, making some of those designs come to life, which we haven't really been able to tap into. But Ali's a killer by
that's great.
by any means.
Oh yeah,
So,
definitely.
Looking forward to seeing how a lot of those artwork come out over time. But yeah.
So with the industry being so, with there being so many people in the industry currently, what sets you aside? And what makes you different? Outside of being the oldest and the greatest, or what makes you, well, we're not going to say the greatest, but what makes you different? What sets you aside from everybody else?
I mean, being the oldest wrap shop, being the highest rated wrap shop in Northern California helps, right? Helps us stand apart from the rest. Having the largest team probably in Northern California, doing what we do, being the most centric in terms of the types of wrap we do, we become a little bit of an anomaly. So most wrap shops or people that offer custom wraps have a more heavier focus on commercial wraps because of margins or clientele base or whatever availability that they seem to attract. Whereas I came from the commercial background. I didn't want to do that as much. I wanted to really focus more on the custom side, stuff that I was passionate about.
Yeah.
So for me, it was more of a passion project.
Yeah.
So our company is a lot heavier on the color change side, custom wraps, paint protection films, ceramic coatings and paint corrections, all the things that I went to school for over the years as I kept adding more services to our offerings, right? And that made us more of a custom car shop or offerings in that realm.
Yeah.
Whereas most shops that you go to that do what we do in the San Francisco Bay Area, in LA greater area, so NorCal, SoCal, and everything in CenCal, who offer what we do, they have a heavier set of commercial graphics or wraps. So because we do so much custom and we live in that world, what we do, attention to detail, how we take care of cars, how we look at the automobile, it's not just a lot of commercial wrap shops will look at custom wrap jobs as a commercial wrap. You know what I mean? They're like, okay, cool. How do we execute this as a cleaner version of a commercial wrap?
Yeah.
Right? Like something that will be for advertising, branding. Whereas we don't look at cars like that.
Yeah.
All of our techs only know the color change industry. So every car they look at, they're looking at is, I'm customizing this car for this client.
Yeah.
Even if there's some advertising on there or something else like that. Yeah. But their mindset is completely different.
Yeah, it's more art.
Yeah, it's more art. I'm doing something bespoke for the customer to create a vision they have in mind.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So the mindset is different, the execution becomes different because of that, and the overall experience to the customer is different because when they walk through our studios, see our cars, they know we're much more centered on helping them achieve their dreams or ideas and their passion for automotive.
Now,
because we share that.
Do most installers, do they do what you do with taking off the panels of the car, doing the premium parts removal, getting into things like that, hand tailored, the whole nine? Is that the average? Is that what most everybody does?
Yeah, I would say the vast majority of customers want us to take the car apart. So it sets us apart. A lot of wrap shops won't take the car apart.
That's not a standard in the industry, taking the car apart.
No, it's not a standard. A lot of people will try to find ways to work around taking off as least amount from the car.
Got it.
Whereas we do the opposite. Everything is about aesthetic.
Yeah.
So we offer these. The client has full, understanding of and the education behind it, and control over what they decide to do to their car. So if they don't want me to take it apart, then we'll tell them, okay, at minimum we want to take this and this apart to make the car look clean, door handles, whatever. But majority of our customers understand once they've been educated on the process of what we do. Yes, I want my car to be taken apart because I want to have this wrap last a long time.
Yeah.
Right. So as long as the education is there, the expectations are set right, 8 out of 10 times they want their car taken apart.
Yeah.
And most shops don't have a person dedicated to that service. Yeah. So we have techs that all they do all day long is take the car apart and put them back together.
So as you said that this was a passion project originally, what's your favorite part of the business?
For me, I think the best part of the business, or the part that's always been the coolest part, has been the customer delivery and the experience for them. I share the passion of automotive with them. So for me, it's always been like, okay, how can I make this experience, the pickup experience for them, amazing. When a customer comes, picks up the car, and they see something completely changed, they're looking at it, and they're all super juiced, excited. You probably have seen a couple of those.
How do I
already.
love it? The guy who came in with the Bentley, he got the Bentley in that crazy English color, and he just came in, he's like, oh, it was so great. Like, he was so happy. He's an older guy, too, and he's just over here just so happy to get it.
That's cool, too, because you get to see, like, all types of customers in terms of, like, the guys who've never heard about it. They're like 70, 80 years old. They're like, oh, I didn't know this existed, right? And they're just getting their first wrap done, to like, you know, kids who just got their licenses, like, yeah, I've been following you guys forever, and I want to get it done, right?
Grew up playing Need for Speed, like they know this is a part of the industry. Like, I gotta do this, and do the whole thing.
They get juice off that stuff. So.
And then their friends are even happy. So the gentleman with the Bentley, he came in today for the follow-up, which is awesome that you do, by the way, just to check in and make sure it was installed correctly and everything is to the point that you want it and up to par to your standards. He came in today and was just talking about, all my friends love it. He's like, all of them are like, what did you do? How'd you do this? Like, where is this even done at? Because they're all his age. Like you said, not everybody in the generations prior to us even know that's a thing. So he shows up with all his friends in his newly wrapped Bentley, and they're all just freaking out. He's like, dude, I had so many people compliment this, and like all my friends was wondering what I even did and how I did it. So no, that was a really cool experience.
That what you just said is by far the thing that I think I enjoy the most. When it comes to the customer experience portion of it, because there's different facets there. We have our team, and then we have our clients. So on the client-facing side of it, the best part is the storytelling that they tell me, or the experience of when they pick up the car. On the team side of it, SS Custom started with just me and Mickey. Right. And over the years, it's grown, and now we have well over 20 people on our team, and it's humbling. It's a little nerve-wracking to make sure that I have all these people that I'm responsible for to a degree. But at the same time, a lot of these people that have been around for a long time, I've seen them grow up in front of me. As I've gotten older, they've gotten older. As their life expands or goes forward, I'm part of their life. And for as long as I can see them, as I'm hyper-focused on building this brand, for as long as they're with me, surrounding me as I go on this journey, and they're with me for whatever time it is, whether it's short time or long term, I'm able to see their lives change and grow, and knowing that I have a small part to play in that it's hard to express in words, man. It's really cool just to be part of that coaching and mentorship, and they do give it back to me. So I learn reciprocally from them. And they teach me things about myself. Hopefully I'm giving them the same type of experience back.
Comes into like it's a chosen family. You know what I'm saying? Like,
we're really tight-knit group of people here, and I try my best to make sure I develop people in the process of SSC being developed.
And even in the short time that I've been here, you yourself have developed just in that short amount of time.
I've never been one to say I know everything. It's like I love learning, and I don't think I'll ever stop learning until I can't no more.
Exactly. I was my grandma would always call me a professional student, because that's all I ever want to do is like just always want to sign up for more classes, learn something new, talk to people, get mentored in new ways. So I relate to that heavily. And then so with the amount of time that you've been around, coming up on 2 decades here, what are, like, I'm gonna say 3, but you can however many, what are the top pain points that you've had thus far, and like how'd you overcome them? That could be from a rap side, that could be from a business side.
Man, that's personal. A laundry list of stuff,
that's
bro.
That's what's at the top ones, give me like top 3.
Things that I can think of, when you deal with people, they're not machines, right?
Exactly.
People have emotions, they have all kinds of things going on in their life, just as we do in ours and I do in mine. And so you have to be understanding of people's positions in life and learn how to separate. As I get more weathered and older, understand how to make sure business is business and friendship is friendship. There's a difference between being sympathetic and empathetic with your team members, and understanding how to differentiate the two. I would learning how to be better delegating, because I would be the person that would be the front runner of everyone. You can't do it, move out the way, I'll help you, I'll get it done, as opposed to putting people in places where they have to be able to learn to grow for their self-development. So learning that part about it. dealing with crazy clients, dealing with growing pains, because every time you add a new person to your team, it's not just like, okay, cool, we have 2 people, I've added another person, so there's an X amount of percentage change, so that's how much more my business will change in terms of difficulty. Every new person, every new add-on, every new building, every new decision you make is an exponentially more difficult task than it was before, and the dynamic changes completely.
So,
and being able to juggle it all, being the captain, my personality type is I got this, and I carry the weight, whereas I'm learning more about distributing that to make things more efficient. So I would say there's a lot of pain points, but growing pains is the easiest way to say it.
So for somebody who could be watching this and maybe they're at the beginning of their journey with whether it be starting their own company or coming onto a company or learning in some type of way. So those are the pain points, but how did you overcome a couple of them? Like what would you give back to people and say, hey, you know, like if you're experiencing any of the ones that I just listed, like here's what I found that helped me in that process. Like how would you overcome some of those?
I would say one of my superpowers is being patient.
You are probably the most patient person I know.
Yeah, and just being calm, right? A lot of times in a lot of situations that could be a little daunting. If you don't know how to control your emotions, it'll get the better of you every single time. So learning how to control your emotions, be a little bit more aware of the situation at hand, stepping back, or if you do get upset or angry, taking a few steps back and then coming back and saying, okay, cool, I'm ready to attack it, whether it's a person or a situation or upset client or whatever have you. Just learning how to control the patient inside of you, of being patient and making sure that you develop that would be a really good one. Probably high up on that list. Delegation is another one. And I would say two things that I'm practicing a lot more is learning to have delegation. And another one that I really am trying my best with all the crazy things going on in my life, that I've been learning more and more in the recent years is developing discipline. I have so many things going on in my life, between being a father, between being a husband, between being the leader of all these people here, being the eldest child, being whatever, right? I can go on and on and on. Good friend. There's so many different hats I got to keep switching between all the time. And the only way to get a grip of that in entirety and really, really start planning it out is the more I start mastering the art of discipline. And the more I discipline myself and my schedule and build what Nino would always say, rhythms in my life, the better I'm going to get in being effective on a daily basis. So I say if there's anything to take away from anybody out there is learning discipline, delegation, and patience.
I like that. I like that a lot. And then speaking of Nino, speaking of him, one question he definitely wanted to put on here is like, if this podcast, once it gets to 1,000 subscribers, how do you want to reward them? How do you want to give back? What do you want to do?
Oh man, I would love to do more projects where we do stuff with people. So I think we're already at 1,000 subscribers on our YouTube channel, but as we grow to our next benchmark, which we will announce here soon, thank you for Nino reminding me. But I think the next podcast we do, I think one of the things we'll cover is like, okay, this is our goal. And once we get here, this is what we'll do. What I've done in the past, which we didn't do this year, but we did last year, was we picked one person that we wanted to give back something to. So we had a lot of people that were on our list, and there was a specific gentleman that would come by all the time. And killer dude, has everything going for him, but he is disabled, and he does have a van that he drives around that he gets from place to place. He works at the stadium park, and he's most of the time on his wheelchair. So we're like, all right, cool. He does have a ride. He loves his van, but we got to make it cool. So I told the team we're going to do something for this guy because he always stops by, always says hi. So he brought in his van, and we ended up doing a full design makeover, did custom wheels, did like a full color change wrap. It was like iridescent, tinted the headlights, this, that, and the other. So we threw pretty much everything at it, and at the end gave him his keys, said, you don't owe me nothing, this is yours. And I've
Man, don't pimp my ride.
Yeah, but that experience for me,
Yeah.
being able to say, okay, cool, I'm not asking for anything.
Yeah.
I just want to do this for you, for the simple fact of I see that you have a passion of this stuff, and maybe it might be more difficult for you to attain, but you're just as deserving. You're just not in the position in life to get it. Yeah. And it was an awesome way to give back. So I wouldn't mind opening up that program again once we get to a certain amount of likes and subscribers, and saying, all right, cool, we're going to pick someone to come out and we're going to do a makeover on the ride. Someone deserving, somebody who's, you know, whatever that's out there.
That's so big. I'm over here like, oh, you know, he gonna give away a T-shirt, you know, something. He said, man, nah, bring in the whip.
Yeah,
we gonna make it happen.
We'll do a color change. We'll maybe do some other stuff to spice it up. That'd be good. In the meantime, we'll be giving out stuff. We'll be giving out swag. We'll be giving out glasses. We'll be giving out shirts. We'll be giving out hats. We'll be giving out all kinds of stuff. Yeah. Different people are commenting, likes. So if you have not liked this video yet, like, subscribe, comment. But because eventually, whether I pick someone from this video or down the line, there will be people we'll be sending out swag to. And just make sure you keep tuned, because once we open that door up for people to submit on why they should be getting a makeover for their vehicle, we'll be answering that for you guys out there. All right?
Definitely. Well, hey, man, this was enlightening. This was fun. It was more of an interview, which was cool because I just got to ask a bunch of stuff I wanted to know for a little bit, especially being new here. SS Customs coming from the family, Sam Signs, that's awesome. So really cool to know. But yeah, man, I appreciate your time. Appreciate you. One, I appreciate you letting me co-host this with you. Right now, I just felt more like a guest because it's like an interview, but looking at the different people that we're going to bring in and just being able to chop it up with everybody, man, this is going to be a really fun ride. So I just want to say I appreciate you, man. I'm looking forward to it all.
Absolutely, man. Looking forward to it. As he said, we're going to be doing some cool stuff coming down the line. You're going to be getting to know more of our team. So, you know, every so often we're going to have new team members on board, so you get to see from their perspective, see who is actually here at SS Customs. Obviously, you know me, you know AJ, but there's a lot of people, the man behind the lens, Rob, and then you have all these other people in the background, Nino, and all these people that have been working with me for a long time. They're all going to have their moments for you to get to know them and be able to ask questions. We may be going live in the future as well, so you might be able to be in our conversations live, asking questions. We'll be reading them as we go into the future, so keep in tune for that. We have tons of crazy clients. As we are at Silicon Valley, we have amazing movers and shakers. So you're going to be able to, we'll be inviting a lot of guests on boards that people we worked with, from home builders to Silicon Valley execs and other tycoons and everybody in between. You'll be able to meet our customers in person. We'll also have industry people. So we have Scotty Chops coming down the line. We have a bunch of other people that will be coming down the line. We have, as well as like different people in the automotive industry that are lifestyle based, and auto influencers or people who are cultivating the automotive atmosphere. So we have who else coming? Rad House is coming.
Man, definitely got to get the boy Johnny in there.
Yeah, you got to.
He don't know it yet, but I got to holler at my boy Kev, man. Bay Area Euros. They're two of the biggest in the Bay right now with being car hosts in the car scene. Got another friend of mine, Beyond City Limits. My boy Mike, he's from Ireland. Got to get that accent on here, especially after having Thiago, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So now we definitely got some really cool people, man. All of them laid back. We get to get a bunch of different perspectives of the car scene, their experiences in it, and all of them come from like really different backgrounds. So me personally knowing them and talking to them about their experience, I already know how vastly different all of it is. So it's going to be really cool to be able to share those perspectives with all of you all and getting them on here. So it'll be a lot of fun.
Yep. And then also we got like one of my really, really good friends who's helped me a lot here at SS Customs, Nick Max Jim, who makes incredible art that I buy for. He'll be coming online soon, as well as a host of other people that we'll be having on the show. So make sure you tap in, like, comment, subscribe. Thanks for tuning in to our first ever All Wrapped Up podcast at SS Customs. And much love to you guys. Deuces.
Wakanda forever, cuz. You cut that out with it.